Welcome, I'm Lizzie Brooks, and this is Lizzie Brooks Yoga and Fitness. Today's workout is high intensity interval training and yoga. So the high intensity interval training is also known as HIIT, H-I-I-T, and therefore, because it is high intensity, we don't have to do it for as long. So it's not like we're gonna do this hour-long workout. We're gonna get much more bang for our buck in a shorter period of time, keeping the heart rate really elevated and in those calorie burning phases, higher level. And then we'll mix it up with some yoga just to give it some balance and to also integrate some stretch. I'm all about kind of a whole body, full integrated practice, and that's what this will be. So come on and join me on your mat. Okay, so let's just prepare just a little bit here before we get into the higher intensity. Take your hands to your knees, round your spine, drape your head, drop in, open the back. Inhale, roll up, open the chest. Exhale, round back. Contract that front of your core towards the spine. Inhale, roll up. Get those paraspinal muscles a little bit wakeful in the back. One more time, round down. And inhale. Roll up and then shake that out. Come on to an all fours position here. We'll transition to a downward facing dog and just stretch the quads, the hamstrings a little bit and start to engage the quads. Soften the neck. So we'll take every opportunity to make sure we're not holding on in the jaw or the neck. And press your heart back a little bit more, even if that means you bend the knees. So we're getting a little more stretch through the pecs, through the shoulders than we normally would in a classic downward dog. And then from there, we're gonna press off into more of a plank. So if you need to change the distance your feet are to your hands, do that. And then again, we'll go back, bend the knees, take the hips kind of high without overreaching the tail, and then press into plank. And then that's where we're gonna go just to get the heart rate up. We're doing a knees bend, press back, and then exhaling forward into plank. Back and forth there. This is gonna be more quads, core, and shoulders. And again, it'll allow us to start to increase that heart rate, and the need for breath is gonna change. So keep providing plenty of breath as we wake up the larger muscle groups here and start creating that heat. And then if you want a little bit more, add a little bit more of a faster rate, faster pace. Back and forth. Now, you're never jamming into the joints. You're keeping your arrival pretty soft here, rather than boom, right? The kind of hyperflexing the knees. 3, 2, and 1. Hold that plank pose, breathe. Inhale. Exhale to your downward facing dog. You can pedal it out here. And then walk your fingertips back towards your feet. Bend the knees, roll all the way up, then reach the arms out and up, and bring your hands to the heart. And then widen your stance and just kind of let everything sway a little side to side, rotating around, letting the arms be really, really slack. And we'll go into some explosive movement for that hit part. So what this is gonna look like, it's gonna be a deeper bend than we just did. And you're gonna come to the floor, the heels are gonna lift. Fingertips to the floor. The distance you are from your feet to your hands, you'll have to decide what works for you, a little bit of trial and error. Then lift your hips up until you're in a chair pose that's not here, but rather facing the ground. Heels are lifted. Press into the floor, let the elbows bend, and then spring up. So this is gonna be legs and upper body and core as you press into the floor and spring into that pause and chair. Press and up. So I'm not trying to take my shoulders around my ears, but rather take my elbows slightly to the sides and slightly back and press. I'm not changing the bend in my knees whatsoever. I'm just going into a sort of a fall, a catch, and a press back. Fall, press back. Wake up the inner thighs about 10%. So sometimes the knees like to splay. Don't let that happen. And you could be in shoes or you could be bare feet, whatever works better for you, even if you need to pause and change that option. 5, 4, 3, 2 more, I know. Last one. Hold, reach your arms forward to the sides or back. You choose what works. Ooh, I think I'm gonna go back. Breathing here. Slowly come to standing. Oh, that feels so much better on the legs. And then bring the hands through to the heart. Catch your breath just for a moment. And then shake it out. Okay, so we're gonna move into some hops here. If hopping doesn't work, you can just march, right? You can kind of just walk like this in a march, keeping the knees bent, okay? If hopping works, we're gonna take some bunny hops. Hands can kind of be however you want. We're gonna hop, 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 top of the mat. So not your biggest hops, but then we're gonna hop back. So I'm making mine about 4 hops. And I'm changing my arms. Kind of just, they're along for the ride. Now, these hops, I'm not landing with straight legs. These are squat hops, which are harder because we're not straightening in between and giving that rest to the quads. About 3 or 4 hops in that squat and back. Arms do kind of whatever feels natural. We're working fast twitch muscle fibers, explosive movement. Last one forward, mountain breathe. It doesn't take much to really get into those higher heart rates. Half sun salute is here. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the knees any amount as you fold. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees any amount with your inhalation. Come all the way up. And then bring your hands to your heart. Deep breath comes in. And shake it out. Now this one will take us all the way to a downward dog. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. We're gonna go for some core here. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, step or hop back into your plank pose. Breathing in your plank pose, separate your feet wide enough that you feel a little more balanced. Okay, and then from here, right arm is gonna go forward to the right, back and down. Left arm forward to the left, back and down. So that's the flow. Right arm forward, right side, back, down. Left arm forward, side, back and down. So keep moving through all the way, opening the shoulder as you're strengthening the other and working the core, even that gently active inner thighs. Forward, side, back, and down. Forward, side, back, and down. 2 more times on each side. You can always put the knees down at any time. Last time through. Last side. The knees down, rest. Take the hips back into a child. Stretch the arms forward, open those lateral sides, lengthen the spine. Deep breath in, and let it go. Take the forearms down and just roll your wrists around. Maybe check in with the neck. Does that need to be eased out? Let that go. And then from here, downward facing dog. All right, plank pose. Step your right foot forward and you might decide to come up onto blocks or fingertips here. This is what the movement is gonna look like. We're all gonna start stepping forward, lunge, back, stepping forward, other foot, back, lunge. Okay, so it's lunge, plank, plank. So this is a lot of work. Now you might step less close to the hands. Or if you're ready, you can start to do some jump switches, which are more like jump taps, because I'm not putting my whole sole of the foot down in that lunge as I come forward. And I might make it easier on myself by coming further back from the hands. This is a doozy, I know. This can also be done standing, arms as you want them, or marching. Okay? So choose where you want to be. I think on the floor is the hardest. Makes the core work a little harder. 3, 2, 1. Downward facing dog, soften that neck. Breathing. Lower the knees, hips back, roll the wrists around, especially if you chose a position closer to the floor. So it's really beautiful to be able to get that heart rate up there with less rest in between and keep it there and feel that the heart goes, yeah, I can do that for you. Sometimes it feels like it doesn't, it can't, but it can. Downward dog. And of course, take a rest as needed. Walk your hands back to your feet. Inhale, halfway up, bend the knees as you need. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. And exhale, hands through to the heart. Deep breath comes in. And shake it off. Okay, so now I want you to take a wider stance. The main thing on this is making sure the knees and the toes track. So whether or not you're more here or a little rotated out, whatever feels good in the hips, lumbar, and knees is where you want to be, okay? I tend to be a little more externally rotated, so that works for me, more of a goddess squat. We're going to start touching the center in front. You can move to touching opposite ankles if that amount of rotation feels good, all right? So from here, bend the knees, hinge the hips back, scoot back a little bit, and just touch the floor, kind of right under where your nose is, and then rotate and touch the floor with the other hand. Touch, touch. Conversely, you could touch the air above that spot and not touch down, okay? Check in low back and hips. All right, so now we're gonna focus on the upper elbow a little bit more. And we're gonna really try to take the hand to the waist of that upper arm, and bend the elbow up to the ceiling as we rotate. If you wanna add on more intensity, the top arm extends up. Okay, and then if you wanna add on from there, you are reaching opposite ankles rather than underneath you, which is gonna get into your back in a lot bigger way, okay? Especially that upper thoracic. So choose where you want to be, and this is it. So you're either here tapping and reaching, or tapping with elbow reaching, or crossing the midline and grabbing opposite ankle as opposite arm goes up or opposite elbow goes up. Are we there yet? 5, 4, 3, 2 more, guys. Last one. Ooh, slowly straighten the legs. Take the torso up, bring the hands over your heart center. Turn the toes forward and just breathe. So I love these workouts because they're so, as I said, they're so challenging, but you know they're not gonna last long. So that's always very, very amazing. I always love that. All right, so bend into one knee and straighten. Bend into the other knee and straighten. Just back and forth. We're just finding a little bit more in the joint there of the knees, just a little bit more fluid movement. All right, now go to one side, lift the other leg, reach the arms out. Bend the knee, land. Shift to that first side, reach, bring the leg up, land, okay? So you see we're going back and forth. Now maybe on this one I just come up a little bit with the other leg. Arms reach as the leg reaches to the side. So what we're working here is the outside of the glutes a little bit more. And we don't do this a lot. We don't kind of lift the leg to this side very often, whether that's in yoga or HIIT or any type of exercise. So I think it's kind of critical that we do use those muscles and protect our hips and strengthen our hips over time. If you want to make this harder, you make the bend in the center bigger. You don't have to drop the hips lower than the knees. For most of us, that won't feel good. If it feels great, absolutely. Big, big reach. Reach. So instead of leaning over to the side like that, try to stay high up so you're working through those hips and those obliques a lot. You can make this faster if you want more intensity as far as speed, heart rate. Stay with it. Stay with it. We're almost done with this. 3, 2, 1, and find your mountain pose, hands over your heart, or in prayer pose, or maybe to the sides. So through all of this, we're coming back to our center and back to our breath. Trying to not let the chatter of the mind take us off into the ether. Regrounding, refocusing. Speaking of the ground, we're coming back to it, okay? This time, we're coming to our forearms. So, I know that I like to double over my mat, like so that I have a little more padding for my forearms. Make sure your forearms and hands are on the same height, okay? And then interlace your fingers, take the legs back, and find your forearm plank here, breathing. And then option here, right elbow to the right side somewhere, left elbow to the left side somewhere, and back and forth. So your knee doesn't have to touch your elbow or your tricep. It might come just a little bit forward and a little bit back. You don't have, or all the way back rather, a little bit forward and all the way back. And then you're just gonna find the right space for you where you're taking care of the lumbar, keeping nice and supported through drawing the organs towards the spine. And then if you want to add more, well, you pick up the pace. If taking the knees out to the side is bothersome, take them right underneath you. If that's bothersome, lower your knees and do this from the knees or from the hands, or from the hands and the knees. So usually our body and our brain starts to say, you can't do this anymore, you can't do this. And we listen to it and we stop. Let's go a little bit past that because it's actually possible as long as we're not hurting ourselves. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, child's pose. Breathing here, pick the child's pose that feels best for you. Maybe the arms come back. Maybe it's that sort of forearms down breathing here. Just be here for the inhale and the exhale. You've already lived those other moments of this practice, so be here in the inhale and the exhale. Hands come down, toes tuck under, walk the hands back to the feet. Choose how you want to rise. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart. And then shake it all out. Let's do another little bit of a swing around here. Maybe the head needs to get a little bit of a rotation around to iron out any kinks in the neck. Okay, on this next one, you know that you can move through all the movement stepping. Okay? So all of this can be done stepping, but you can see where we're going. We're gonna cross the midline and we're gonna hop out, cross the midline and hop out. So I'm gonna show you, we're gonna cross one foot, land in a wider footed squat. Cross, land. So it's more of a kind of tap land, cross land, cross land. Now, if you need to land cross out, you can do that too, okay? Meaning, if you need to soften the knees more on the crossing, you can cross with soft knees too, which is actually tougher. So it's maybe a little bit slower for some of us, but you're really keeping those quads super active. Arms move as you want to. I am feeling this. I'm sure you are too. 2, 1. And breathe. Aren't you glad that's over? Widen the stance a bit. Draw a circle with your hips. Invite the breath in and out. Another direction. Goddess squat. Knees roughly under, heels roughly under the knees. Stretch. Take the hands, fingertips point down. Drop one shoulder down, the other shoulder up. Twist, maybe look towards the elbow or up. Come to center and just other side, whichever side you didn't do. Drop the shoulder, little twist, and come up to center. Heel toe in or hop in with soft knees. And shake that out. We're gonna work a little bit differently, which requires no hopping, okay? No marching, no hopping. Yay. We're going to take an invisible ball or an object, whatever it is, and we're gonna bend through midline and take it to our other side. We're gonna do that while we have our knees in this sort of squat lift, okay? So choose one side, reach that invisible object, bend the knees, take it across the midline by bending your elbows, take it to the other side. Now everything straightens at the same time. The arms go diagonally, the legs straighten up, bend and reach. Bend, and it's a bit of a snap. Reach, bend, snap. Reach, bend, snap. So keep going with that and start to feel that your obliques are firing here and you're doing a movement that you're probably not used to doing. You can also do this with a weight, but with less of a snap in the arms, I would say, if you have a weight. Bend, reach, up, bend, reach, up. 3, 2, 1, up, arms up, inhale, exhale, hands to the heart. Deep breath comes in, and shake it out. I almost couldn't get a deep breath at that moment. Shake it out. Pause. Just a little rest before the other side. All right, here we go. Reach out to the other side. Remember, the elbows come through and they cross. Knees bend and snap. Straighten, bend, snap, straighten. Crossing the midline with those arms and trying to make sure you're not kind of knocking your knees in. And the knees are gonna kind of go where they need to go, but what you're trying to do is control them a little bit more by letting them track roughly over the toes. Use your breath as a tool. Reach, snap, reach, snap, reach. Hold that object. Maybe you're throwing it every time. Maybe you're getting a new object. Sometimes that visualization can help. New object, throw it back. New object, throw it to your best friend and keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And reach, and hands to the heart. Deep breath in, and shake it on out. Widen your stance. Let's just let the left arm come all the way up and around. Sorry if I wasn't mirroring you guys earlier. I don't even know if I was. And then other side. I was too enmeshed in the hit work. All right, open that shoulder, lengthen that side body. We're nothing if we're not real at Lizzie Brooks Yoga and Fitness. All right. And then take the arms up, elbows draw back, open the chest. Inhale, reach. Exhale, float the arms down, roll the shoulders. Widen the stance. Let's send the head around. So we want to make sure that we don't hold on any residual tension from those previous postures, especially this faster pace. And then one vertebra at a time. Let the head come all the way back up. Come onto the top of your mat. We'll finish up. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, step back just for a momentary plank and lower halfway down or all the way to the floor. Take your back bend of choice, cobra, maybe upward dog, shalabhasana. And exhale, child's pose. Find home in your breath. Add any gentle movement that feels good to you. And then from here, we'll do just a tiny bit of a core transition. Coming all the way down, rounding, rounding, rounding as we reach. Maybe you're holding that object or that ball. One vertebra at a time. Trust yourself. Use about 10% of work of the inner thigh so the knees don't splay out. And continue all the way down. Take the arms back. Reach the legs forward. Stretch, 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 wiggle it open. Let's do that cactus arms again. Opening here, but this time letting the elbows come towards the ground. And then bend the knees, round in. You can lift up with the head or not. And slowly unwind. Bring the left sole of the foot to the ground, interlace your fingers behind the right leg anywhere that it feels good, and breathe there. If you want to extend the left leg because it just feels great for the back and the hips, you can, but it's not necessary. And then we'll switch sides, just interlacing wherever you can reach. If you have a strap and you want to use a strap, you can do that. Spread the toes out, really open the fascia, open the arch of the foot. Maybe extending that right leg onto the ground. And then bend both knees in. Little baby bridge, soles of the feet a little wider than sitting bone distance. Bring the pelvis up, keep it low, breathe here. I like to just take my hands on my hips or my belly. And we're just gonna drop the left side of the pelvis down 1/2 inch and bring it back up. And the right side of the pelvis down 1/2 inch and bring it back up. Left side down, up, right side down, up. Then both hips up, breathing. And all the way down. We just wanted to kind of open those hip flexors, change up what's going on in the sacrum. And then set yourself up for Shavasana. Final relaxation pose. You really did earn it. So if you want to place a blanket under the knees, or maybe just keep the knees bent, or put your legs up the wall, feel free. But do take some time to let the heart rate go back to kind of slower, steady pulse. Feel the sweat on your skin, those internal and external changes that you made just by making the decision to do it, staying with it, being strong. So sometimes, you know, it takes the will to stick with it. And even if you didn't do all of it, you did some of it, and that's better than none of it, right? So even if I'm doing a video and I have to pause and I don't make it the whole way, it's like, it's not lost. It's still there. It's still working for us. So hats off to you. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're enjoying these free videos, if you get anything out of them, I really would appreciate that you subscribe to the channel, maybe hit the notification button so that you can see when my new videos come out, and leave me a comment. Let me know anything that you'd like me to include in my future videos. Thank you so much. Namaste.